This supplemental file is to help explain the image titled roof. There's a PSD file of it and there's a JPEG file of it. Uh, but to go along with just an image that's kind of step by step without instructions, I thought a short video could be helpful. And then if you have questions or something that's unclear, we kind of address those on an individual basis. As with any shape, we start with our box. We box in the shape, regardless of what it is, to understand the space in this three-dimensional area that's being occupied. In the case of this roof, we're going to have a pyramid shape. So we need the center of this box. We identify that with a centering X on both the top and bottom. We can connect those to understand where the center is. In the next step, you can create the box. The pyramid height is fairly arbitrary. It doesn't really require any other information. You can, if you choose, create an additional box on top. You would put another centering X, and the pyramid would touch the X rather than being an extension of this center line. The reason it's presented this way is because it's a little easier to follow in images rather than another box with a pyramid inside of it. Either is acceptable. Moving down, our next process is the shadow vanishing point lines. This gives us the direction of the shadow. We have to think about what points the light's going to hit the object and where our shadow is going to be cast from. The most important point in this image is that center mark. The bottom X here, we have a shadow vanishing point line that goes through that X, which correlates to the point of the pyramid. Then we have our standard, all three of our other points that we would normally see in a standard cast shadow of a box. From there, we create the light source. The light source passes through the point of the object at the highest that correlates with your shadow vanishing point line. So a way to do this is to start your light source line, follow your shadow vanishing point line, follow that line up to the height of the object, maintain that angle until the light source line intersects with the shadow vanishing point line. In this case, the important one, of course, is the pinnacle of the pyramid. We follow through there, cast through the top of that point, and that intersection identifies the total length of the shadow at that point. From here, we can go ahead and connect those points. That will identify our cast shadow. In this cast shadow, I've only connected the box shape to show the difference between the box. Notice we don't see this part of the shadow here, which we can zoom in a little bit. The shadow here is blocked by the object. There would be a shadow here in space though, and that may be important in cases of reflections. For our purposes, we're not concerned with that. This is the shadow from the box alone, to keep it simple. The next frame now includes the pyramid shape, and from it, basically we've used the two outer points that are visible, and we've now included the height of the pyramid. That point, those 3 points give us the cast shadow part of the extension. It's not the cast shadow of the pyramid. Please see the supplemental files on floating objects. The table one as well does a great job of demonstrating how to deal with a cast shadow of an object that is not on the ground plane. This is the easiest way to include this extension. And then for our next image, we've darkened in the object lines, what is actually visible, leaving the guidelines visible to explain how the object was created. I can go ahead and zoom out, and then in the final frame, we remove all the lines, and we have our object with our cast shadow. Of course, from here, we can reverse this process, go back and identify the shadow vanishing point light source. We would need to follow this line and this line, since they are defining the direction of the shadow. Once we've got that point, we could go back from the point here to the top until we intersected a vertical line from the intersection of the shadow vanishing point lines. This is shown in the supplemental file locating a shadow vanishing point and light source. So see that file if you're curious about how to work backwards from this to check and verify the accuracy of a shadow.